Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Startup Grind is a international community. Basically, it's a community for entrepreneurs. We run 150 chapters all over the world. Bombay is one of the chapters which we run, and the whole purpose is to build the entrepreneur community in a city around. There's so much of startup activity you guys all see in the newspapers and the articles. Everyone has a different good idea, and I think people want to kind of connect with to get more ideas, inspiration, and connect. We want to bring in very interesting entrepreneurs who have been there, done that, for you guys to kind of get inspired with, and that's our fireside chat is all about. So every month we have one entrepreneur. This time we have Kunal Shah, so name needs no introduction. So that's about Startup Grind in short. It's backed by Google, and as I told, so the companies like Zomato's of the world, the investors like Costa and Anderson Horowitz of the world have been very supportive of Startup Grind world over, and so that's about Startup Grind, very quick in short. Quickly, so just a few things before we jump into the fireside chat. We have startup pitches towards the end of the whole fireside chat. I've got some 5-6 names. If there are any more, please you can just drop an SMS or just tweet on the hashtag that you want to kind of do that, or even just kind of raise your hand towards the end. We can kind of have some 7-8 of startup pitches we can do towards the end. Secondly, something which we normally starting with this particular event is that there's going to be a networking event which will probably take from here down to White Out, which is in the same building. You guys can kind of network more around there. So we leave this place around 7:30, 7:45 after finish fireside chat and start pitches. So that's quickly about it. I'll give up to two members to make an introduction.
It's quite juvenile of me to try and introduce our guest for the evening, but I think it's a job I have to do. So there are some momentous events in the history of the internet where some Indians have played a big role. The first one, I think, maybe serves me right, was Sabi Wadia selling out on Hotmail. Another one in India itself was Rajesh Jain with selling out to Khoj to Sifi. And in what I call the .com2 or the new digital age that is there, you obviously have these Snapdeals and the Flipkarts of the world. But one name stands out as a rock star. He's really a superstar of startups. Someone who actually in 3 years has raised, if my memory serves me right, close to $713 million, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
$100 million total raised.
Yeah, raised, yeah, okay. And yes,
We're saying crores, maybe that was the math.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, the math here. And he has 20 million users on Freecharge, and almost 60 to 70 million recharges every month. And that's huge. That's huge given the internet population. He is also a philosopher. He's a poker player, among other things. And I mean, what can I say? So just let me, let's all give a big hand to Kunal Shah, CEO and co-founder of Freecharge. I think let's hear the story from his own mouth rather than we kind of try to do a chronicle.
Yeah, so I think the way we can kind of take it is that we'll kind of let you talk about a few things that we probably just kind of ask you to, and after that we'll have open for everyone. I think as you said you wanted to be more interactive, so we let people kind of ask you the questions. But I think before that, I think everyone is very keen to hear about your story.
Sure.
So I think, if you just quickly start about your background, about your education, family background, about your colleging. I think you say that you proud dropout, then what's about it is the whole dropout thing. So if you can just quickly talk about your background and how things happen for you.
Sure. Not sure if this microphone is working.
How many of you use Freecharge over here? Okay, that's great. Thank you. The rest of you who are not using, you should ask and find out how to get on. You never stop selling.
So you can start by selling.
And I think that was a big learning we had at Freecharge. So just to give you a background, not a usual startup guy. I'm very good at paying attention in class. Last bench was my favorite because there was a door that I could just run away from. I was looking at my mark sheets yesterday actually. I was just going through some cleaning in the closet and I looked at like, ये देख के तो कोई job नहीं मिलता था. So the thing is, what I was good at when I was growing up is I could understand things and I hated to just remember and just write them. I hate writing even today. But I could understand things and I would put a lot of effort in just researching and going deep into things. A lot of people stay very shallow and probably remember the script that can give them the marks, but I would understand the subject at a very deep level. Only the subjects I was interested in. I was supposed to do engineering or pharmacy were two options. When I was in 12th grade, internet came to this country. You know what happens when internet comes. A lot of you get distracted. Imagine the first time internet came. Most of you probably don't know what that means. So only the people who are 30 plus will understand the joy of that. 94, 96 exactly. 93, 94 is when I passed.
It was 15th August 1995.
Perfect. And I was one of the lucky ones who stand in the queue at BSNL, get my $100 account of 15,600 rupees, 100 hours for 15,600 rupees. Last time I paid for internet because then I figured out how to find accounts because it was very expensive. And it was gold that time to be able to access internet. I can tell you most of us used to log into internet to delete our emails, not to read our emails. Because there was only a 2 MB space that we got on our emails and we had to delete the emails because if you don't do that, it'll start bouncing. None of you probably know about that. Most of you don't know.
The BM01 account, the GIS BM0, the long account.
Yes, bomb 5, bomb 5. Then you allowed to make it BSNL.com.
Yeah.
Old time. We're looking, this is very old because I'm 35. Okay, 35 is old. It's already very, very old, and I'll tell you why. This country, most families already have a chief technology officer. That person is right now 12 to 18 years old. He's very soon becoming the chief procurement officer also. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you who are young already know this, right? AC खरीदने से लेके, कार खरीदने से लेके, shirt खरीदने से लेके, this technology officer is being invoked because he knows how to use internet and has a smartphone and can help make good decisions. They clearly know the difference between good products online and they clearly know what products are uncle-like. I don't need to mention the product names. You all know what is uncle-like and what is cool. Ask, if you don't know, ask the young people, they'll tell you the difference. ये uncle product है, ये uncle product नहीं है. Uncle products will not last and they'll be disrupted so fast that people will not understand what's going to happen. When we started Freecharge, coming back to my journey, I was supposed to do engineering, could not do because I got very bad grades in 12th. Decided to pursue philosophy because it was cool when I was in canteen. I used to hear these philosophy students talk about things. It looked like a much bigger subject in life, which kind of encompasses human thinking and how to build logic around things. So I got interested in that. While I was doing that, internet bug had hit me. I was already teaching internet at WinTech, NIT, AppTech, and all of these things on a freelance basis. I was the guy who used to teach internet, by the way. And the thing I used to teach is how to find photographs online, how to send an email, find information. Yeah, and that used to be a very expensive course at that time. I used to teach that at many places. And it was amazing because I was earning money and I was still in college. I stopped taking money from my family at the age 15, 16, out of ego, but that's a different thing. It's good to have ego sometimes. It helps you make good decisions in life. I find a lot of people who at 20, 21, 22 still take money from their family to be lame. They should change it. That's when you learn how to make money in business very early on in life. The other thing, at that time I earned a lot of money by doing lots of things. I did a lot of small businesses, right from, I don't know, selling mehndi cones on retail store distribution network. I have done pirated CDs. I have done creating websites. I have done anything that could pay bills and give me a good lifestyle. I bought my own motorcycle. I bought my own computer and so on and so forth. What happened thereafter was I graduated philosophy. By the time I already joined a startup, which was an online startup. I was an ASP programmer at that time, and not a very good programmer, but a very good problem solver. I realized very early on that I was very good at finding bugs or solving problems at a meta level or addressing a business problem. I realized that there are better people who can code. I should let them code. I should not compete with them because I cannot win. That's another thing, you have to know which territory you're going to excel very early on in life. I then moved into the startup. It was called Indian Jhol. It was an online portal which was aggregating 20 information thing. There's no Jhol about it. The Jhol word was not, it was supposed to be the Bengali Jhol word, which is the khichdi or the whatever. The thing that happened after that is I had a friend of mine who's right now a pilot. He was started as a software programmer. He used to take me from one job to another job. He was the guy I met in Wintech. He would take me to the next job and actually use his resume and just change a few things and make it my resume and go to the next job. Right? I have not made a resume to date in my life. I bought into many jobs though. Then I moved into another startup which was called Netco Pharma. I had a pharmaceutical distribution business background from my family. I joined this pharma startup in 2000, and that's right after my graduation and working in a startup for a little bit. And that company was doing a pharma B2C, B2B, full integration, way ahead of its time. I remember walking up in 3 months' time, actually 3 weeks' time, and going to the guy who was the CEO, who, by the way, I have a lot of things due to him because he trained me for everything. MBA from Melbourne School, he was the CEO of Dun & Bradstreet at one point of time, and I told him, sir, this will, ye nahi chalega, ye pura idea. And this guy had already got money and like massive team working, and I'm like this. By the way, I was on a contract job for 3 months and I joined that company, and I told him, ye nahi chalega. So he said, "Acha, tumko kuch pata hai, tum banao kya chalega." So I built a product which was called Easy Sales in that company, just me and one more person who was a programmer given to me. And in 2 years, that is the only product that got any customer or traction or revenue. The core product did not go anywhere, so the team was out. Then I was given another project, which was a BPO thing which pharma companies wanted to do in India, some back office processing work. So I was given a charge of that along with my Easy Sales role, and I did that as well. So I was doing 2 jobs within a startup, day hours and night hours. So I used to work like 17 hours a day. Chetan, who was my then boss, decided to move to Australia, and I was made CEO of the company at the age of 23, 24. Scaled that company to close to 1,000 odd people till I started up again. There was a job, I wanted to do something on my own. That's another thing I've learned, that the reason a lot of people don't do startup early in their life is an animal called as EMI. Okay. When EMI hits you, you have to follow a very structured life after that. It's called entrepreneurship marne ka injection. What you do is you just kind of do this structured job, don't deviate from that. It's a perfect plan. When my first car loan was paid, I was like, either I can take a big house or say, okay, aur kuch EMI nahi karte and do some startup. So I decided to do that. I regret that. I should have done early in my life. While I was still doing the BPO, I decided to do my MBA. First I did my diploma in an MIT that I was doing the MBA. I dropped out because I was a very, very painful student to be in the classroom. I was not interested in the theory, I was only interested in the practical. I would score near full marks in my presentations and projects, and I would not go to write the paper because I hated writing grammar at the time. So I continued. I would not go to write the papers. I would pass through, but I was a painful student in the class because I would ask the question at a more fundamental level and question the theories and the examples given and so on and so forth. So I was asked by the professors, "Ke, tum rehne do." Then I said, "Makes sense also," so I dropped out. The reason is that I had a lot more practical exposure at my age, and a lot of people have. And I think that is only possible when you make that choice for yourself. Nobody is going to give you that exposure and experience. Nobody is waiting for an invitation, say, "हाँ बेटा, तुम्हारा dad का uncle का इधर कुछ हो जाएगा." This is an opportunity where you can just start working anywhere, and a lot of people are looking to get people to work for them, and you have to get these things early in life. I call a lot of successful entrepreneurs a journey of 100 slaps. Okay, the earlier you get them, better for you. There is no way to skip this 100 slaps. You have to go through those 100 slaps. The earlier you get them, the better it is. If you get them later in life, I can tell you, you cannot deal with it. So the journey of 100 slaps should start very early. You should, can I use like some words that are okay?
Yeah, I think it's cool. It's not a full crowd here.
Like, fuck things up very quickly in life. Don't wait for it to happen to you much later. Otherwise, it will be really fucked up. Coming to the thing on Freecharge, I was still doing the job. Sandeep, who is my co-founder, was my boss, and he was an investor in Chetan's company first. So the BPO was running for him. I told him that I need to do a startup. So the good thing I did is I figured out a co-founder who could keep my job running and keep my income stream running while I do something else. So that's another thing, that you don't have to stop your income to do your startup. I did not. I could not. So that was a thing that was done. And Freecharge, talking about the journey, I'll tell you why the idea came about. How many of you have used Freecharge from 2010, 2011? Many of you, thank you. The idea was very simple. I was running a company called as Paisa before Freecharge. Paisa was a cashback promotions company, and one learning I came from Mobile Store, which was our client, is that 95% of their invoices were of prepaid recharge. I was like, what is this? I was always a postpaid customer. I'm still a postpaid customer, and I'm like, what is this? 95% of invoices are of this one particular product. Ye kya hai? And then I learned that 95% of the country was on prepaid. Like, wow. And I told Mobile Store, okay, oh, so that means this is why people come in and therefore they end up buying phones. So you recharge free kar do. That was my statement to them, like, you can't make recharge free. My logic was, if you made recharge free, so many more footfalls will come, and therefore more people will buy phones and so on and so forth. It was not something that was accepted. It was called Recharge Back before Freecharge, because Paisa Back was Recharge Back. Like, that's how it started. And I remember going to these stores, Mobile Store. I went to Spice Group, Chroma, and I told them about Recharge Back as an idea, and they like, won't work. It's too less a margin in that product. I was like, but imagine the footfall it has, because everybody needs it and everybody keeps coming back for it. Very similar to what Big Bazaar does with potatoes or other things, right? Recharge was a digital fuel. And the interesting thing was, we took the thing that, because none of these guys did it, I was actually never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I had come from a failed startup in internet. I was wanting to be very offline and B2B. Freecharge happened because none of these guys accepted this idea. So the idea is how to make it free. So I said, I'll give equal value coupons of different retailers, and free works. I don't need to tell you that. The reason free works is it makes us as consumers very irrational. I'm a big, so from MBA I have one good thing that happened. The subject of consumer behavior hit me, and then I read like 200 books around behavioral economics, human behavior, irrationality and so on and so forth. I found, by the way, I found a subject that I like at 27 years of age or 28 years of age. That's what happens when you are not exposed to many other subjects. So human behavior was a big subject I loved, and I learned that that every business we do, or every person we hire, every investor we go to is a human. So understanding humans is very critical, and how they are motivated, what they do, why they do certain things. When Freecharge happened, the idea was very simple. I thought the reason free works is very simple. Let me give you an example. I say I tell Alok that Alok ये bottle 50 रुपए की है, right? So Alok will now process and rationalize. ये तो नीचे 10 रुपए में मिलेगी, not worth. He'll say yes and no for it. But if I say Alok ये bottle free है, the rational mind is not even awakened. He'll just take the bottle and start sipping from it, right? So free is magical. Therefore, 95 of the 100 top websites in the world are offering something for free, right? Or most of the apps that are there on the phone you have is not a paid app; it's a free app. They make money somewhere else. So free was powerful. It was hard to make Recharge free. So we came up about giving this equal value coupons idea, and we did this thing where we surveyed outside a mall. I personally was there, and some team members, and we asked like 2,000 to 5,000 people 3 questions. Do you use prepaid or postpaid? And 95% at a mall said they use prepaid. Second, we asked them, do you recharge online or offline? 99% said offline. And the third thing I asked them, if there was an idea that gave you equal value coupons to come online and recharge, would you migrate? 50% said yes. Right, 3 questions asked. 99% recharging offline. By the way, the number is still 97% recharging offline. It's just 3% after all this hangama that has happened in this category. The reason it's interesting is it's the highest selling product, and that's another learning over here. One investor in the US gave me a very interesting thing. I asked them, what's your investment philosophy? They said, we invest in smart-ass teams with kick-ass product for a big-ass market. Okay? So I asked him, out of these 3, what is non-negotiable? He says, can you take a guess which one is non-negotiable? The answer was big-ass market. Teams can be recreated, products can be revamped, markets cannot be. A lot of us take up our startup decisions which are so cool, but applies to such a small dartboard कि इसके लिए 50 dart चाहिए to perfectly hit that dartboard. I took a recharge dartboard. Even 10 more companies will come and hit that, it's still going to succeed, right? So that's another mistake I've seen a lot of startups make, is that they take such a small market to start with because they are comfortable with that, because they've done something in the past which makes them feel comfortable about that, and they go about it. Another thing we have seen in startups is they ask their friends and family about their idea. They are the worst people to ask. I'll tell you why. Because in India, everybody has production of sugar at home. And we sugarcoat everything when we give feedback. Especially to friends and family, because otherwise we look bad. Indian society does not allow frank feedback from friends and family. Okay? Nobody will say, beta, like, kya bakwas idea hai ye, right? No uncle will say, this is total bullshit. They'll say, हाँ करो करो अच्छा है, good करो करो. They'll discuss, by the way, outside with somebody else कि क्या पागल this idea करता. They will never tell you that it's a bullshit idea. So don't ask friends and family. Okay? There are so many events I go for in startup or mentoring or whatever. I'm not famous for that because 50% of people drop their ideas and leave entrepreneurship when I give them feedback about their idea. And they thank me after 2 years. That time they get very upset with me. But they thank me after 2 years, they are baat to sahi thi. The reason is that the facts are available, we don't do any research. We say, yaar, ye cool lag raha hai. We ask, "Arey, what do you think? What do you think?" "Arey, badhiya hai, bahut badhiya hai." And there is no market. Market has to be researched, and you don't need to use any fancy marketing MBA methods to do that. It's common sense. I'll talk about one startup from one top engineering college. He built something cool which was for housewives. Had to be built. I was like, okay. आपने पूछा है आपके around में ये. Then he had like coded the whole product ready, app ready. I said, ask like 5 housewives right now. I'm on the phone. I mean, just call Auntie Ego. Ask them if they'll use it. All the 5 aunties said no. Because it's really a bad idea. So even the family said no. Right? I said, तुमने पूछा नहीं, code complete ready, product ready, demo के साथ. We did not have a product ready. We had a slide ready, which I took to McDonald's, Baskin Robbins, PVR and showed them. Okay, ऐसा कुछ idea है. I need your coupons. I said the same thing to telcos and all of that. When they said yes, I built the product. Took us 9 months to get the product ready. We had a very, very crappy product to start with, which gave us a lot of pain. Rachita here knows that she had to evolve that product from a crappy version to a scalable version. We were growing so fast that we could not handle with that bad product. But that was a good decision from that perspective, because the chances of building a perfect product and then getting stuck with it. Another thing I've noticed is a lot of people fall in love with their idea. Okay. Love is an irrational thing. All of you agree? When we fall in love, we stop seeing faults. Think of all the people that we fell in love with. The faults emerge suddenly after you spend a lot of time with them.
We get married.
Maybe a few years of exposure, and you cannot see those faults. You cannot see them. Your friends tell you, "Hey, हो गया है क्या?" You still cannot see those faults. Because the design of love says that you have to, it's for good reasons. You're supposed to have grow your species, and therefore you're supposed to get mentally blocked to not have certain wrong feelings, and therefore it is biologically designed for you to love something. Same thing happens in startup ideas. We fall in love with it so much that we can't see flaws in it. Other thing I've noticed is when we started off, a lot of people say funding chahiye. Boss, we did not have funding. Till a point where we were doing 15,000-20,000 transactions a day, we did not have funding. The reason that happens is you create a product that people spread. Okay? So let me explain. Now, how many of you understand the concept of USP? USP?
Unique selling.
Okay. That's gone. It's irrelevant now. USP. Okay. The real thing is UBP. Is my one word. Okay. UBP is unique brag proposition. Okay. Let me give you an example. How many of you use Truecaller? Truecaller. How many of you have seen an ad of Truecaller? Never. Okay, let me tell you how Truecaller was discovered for all of you. A friend of yours came to you and said, "Koi bhi number bolo. Koi bhi number bolo, I'll tell you a name." And then you give the hardest number and they give you the name. Like, wow, what is this? Then Truecaller. And then you downloaded it. Correct? Remember, this is how it happened? The reason that happens is I had something to brag about to Atul, and both of us were like, I looked very smart to him, by the way, when I did the demo to him, right? So Atul now is going to be smart and give to Mahesh, and so on and so forth. This is how products spread. At B2B level, at B2C level. Okay? Marketing ad करने से नहीं होता. Another example I'll give you. Uber, when it came to Mumbai city, अरे Mercedes आता है, 200 rupees. Jaguar आता है. Jaguars are gone, but the habit continues. We are all riding Ola, Uber, whatever, right? Because happens is there's something to brag about. Another thing I've noticed is we seeded our product in IIT Bombay and IIM Ahmedabad. Because what happens is when you seed it with influencers, it spreads a lot more. I'll give you another example. Let's say we take a B2B example. A lot of you are doing some B2B work. Let's say I am a company selling some stuff to pharma companies, and Atul also has another company which has similar products selling to pharma companies. And Alok is a pharma company and Mahesh is another pharma company. He's pharma company number 2, he's pharma company number 32 in terms of revenues. Now, we both are going to do this. Atul, let's say, has Mahesh as his friend. Normally, our typical startup behavior, मैंने अपने friend को बेच दिया, friend ने खरीद लिया, product live. I, on the other hand, decided मैं बहुत मेहनत करूँगा, आलोक को convince करूँगा, मेरा दोस्त नहीं है वो, and somehow convince it to take this product. And let's say it goes live. It takes me 2 years. It takes 2 months. And now I go to Manak, and Manak is now pharma company anywhere between 6 to 30. Who's more likely to get that as a customer, him or me? Because I have number 2 as my customer. That means we pick. This guy decision is made by ये किसको बेचा है, ये किसको बेचा है. By the way, he could be better product. Manak does not have the time to evaluate. This is how we pick movies also. Hero कौन है? उसने सोचा होगा स्क्रिप्ट अच्छा है कि नहीं, तभी वो सिलेक्ट किया होगा अपने लिए मूवी उसने. Right? We always somehow sell to friends and family first. Please understand that when you sell to friends and family first, you cannot make an impact to the new guy because he can figure it out. Because most likely you got a meeting with Manak also in friends and family. So you have to get the hardest customer first. Getting IITians and IIMs, some of you are from IIT are the hardest customers. They can, like, first of all, they'll hack your product only. Good thing we did it, we made friends with them, so they used to tell us, hey, this is a good problem, band kar do isko. So we were hacked multiple times too. And they only would tell us, yeah, tum achhe logo, take kar do ye. Right? Another thing about our product was, we used to have physical coupons and other things going on, right? Every time coupons came, I remember people used to tell us, they used to be, they would go to McDonald's and redeem a coupon. A friend would ask, ye kya hai? Ye coupon kidhar se mila? Freecharge, very true-color kind of an effect used to happen. And the next queue guy would say, "Hey, kahan se mila?" Then he would say, "Freecharge again." Get there. So marketing was not really a vehicle to get a lot of things going on. A lot of us, पहले से funding की बात. I'll tell you how funding works. This may not be something that you'll hear from investment bankers. So all of you from investment banking background, forgive me for saying this. Remember your college days? There were some people who were always pursued by girls and boys. Like, remember? Good. The reason they were pursued by a lot of them because they had an impression created that a lot of people pursue them. ठीक है? पता नहीं क्यों? A lot of girls would like one particular boy, and a lot of boys would like that is more common. Like one particular. Or few particular girls. The reason this works is that when a lot of people think that that is worth pursuing, it becomes valuable. Imagine now you going, that girl going to that guy and saying that I'm worth pursuing. You say, boss, kaun hai tum? This is what happens in a lot of startup which is writing for investments and VCs. Kaun ho tum, boss? Unless you are discovered by them or referred by somebody that they think is smart, you are like at a very low probability of getting money. Okay. So a lot of people start with the idea that funding will jayega. Funding nahi milta hai, boss. You have to be very, very powerful. We had at least 4 or 5 investors chasing us before we even met one of them. By the way, this is a learning, it was not something I planned. I thought 15,000 transactions a day was, because there was IRCTC that time, used to publish their numbers, it used to be 4 or 5 lakh transactions a day. I was like, oh, now, hum 15,000, who will fund us? Thankfully, I had no e-commerce learning. I used to not attend conferences. Very important. Too much gyan spoils you. Okay. And fortunately for me, I remember the first meeting I had with Shilendra, and I told him, hey, we do 14,000 transactions, and he asked me per month. I was like, let me check again. I knew it was per day, but I was still checking in my spreadsheet because I probably must have goofed up because he's asking me per month question. I was like, no, per day. And after checking it, I told him that. And he asked me another question, what's your CAC? And CAC is customer acquisition cost. And I pretended to know that word, and I'm like answering some random. and then he figured, he says, customer acquisition ka cost itna hai. And I'm still again looking at my sheet because there is no item called customer acquisition cost. So I said, again some random thing, and then eventually it was corrected to say that I don't have a customer acquisition cost. I haven't had any dollar spent on any marketing. So the interesting thing about this is that when you have an investment meeting that happens with this note, where he thinks you should be here and you are here, he thinks you are spending, just going to spending this much. What happens? We actually had our investment coming without a presentation, without a business plan, without a financial model. Our Series A happened without $3.5 billion, without a single document prepared. Interesting point over here is that when you have something really going for yourself, you don't need to justify this with all the gyan that supports it. Okay, a real live working animal is a lot better than all this fancy modeling. What happens when we start preparing models, we start believing it also. That's where the trap starts. Try भी नहीं किया, लेकिन मॉडल पूरा मालूम है कितना कॉस्ट होगा, कितना मैं बेचूंगा, क्या मार्जिन होगा. Nothing, you have no idea what a lot of these things are. Assumptions kind of come and bite you. So for us, when this journey started, we had a lot of traction going. We had a misstep. We tried to scale the product in Bombay. Tech talent is a big challenge over here. Rachita and other team members tried to push a lot of things over here. We could not. We still are struggling to hire. You heard her make a pitch that we are hiring for our Mumbai engineering team. This talent is not there in the city, and we had to move our office to Bangalore 2.5 years ago, and build the thing over there. Another thing about not being an IIT, IIM, or from Harvard or anything, people don't want to come and join you. They think, "Pata nahi kya kar raha hai." And a lot of people, we would tell them we're doing so many transactions, they would not believe it. It's true. Like, why would you want to believe that these guys do so many transactions a day? Right, Freecharge. But you ask college kids, they knew college, Freecharge very well. Business community did not. They thought prepaid is for maids and drivers. Okay, all the people who have young kids, let me tell you, the reason they have prepaid is they don't want you to see the bill. ये 1,000 minutes call किसके साथ किया और ये 2,000 SMS किसको भेजा? They want to keep that hidden from the family, so they keep prepaid. Some of you can relate to that. And they spend a lot. It's just that they don't want a bill coming home. So what we learned is that, hey, there is this huge amount of customer base that is currently tired, and we used to have a very interesting trend. After 6 p.m. to midnight, that's where 50% of our transactions happen. That's where they would get locked in a hostel or shops shut down or something happened. So we learned that the insight is the evenings are big for people have forgotten to reach home. So online was a big habit that time. So in all of this, when we were scaling up transactions, we were not able to grow the tech. We moved to Bangalore and just focused on the thing. What we learned is talking to consumers constantly is very, very useful. Even now, I would take the feedback from a lot of people who write to me on Facebook. I have most times discovered bugs more faster than my team has discovered a lot of times, because somebody will say, Kunal, something is wrong here. Sometimes, a lot of times when the site went down, I would know from my Facebook friends than the team knowing it first. It's happened. That's the power of building social media. I'll tell you how we started off. We had 2-member team and we built the product and we thought, let's just seed it. So we created a Facebook profile called as Neha Sharma with a good looking picture. And she managed to get 5,000 friends in 2 days. All of you know about that.
That's good.
And Neha Sharma would constantly write, she's not well and she'll get like 500 comments cure illness and Prashant Sharma, who was in our team, was actually Neha Sharma. One fine day she writes, hey, look at this cool site freecharge.in, has anybody tried it? And she got 200 comments in 5 minutes. 198 of them told her, ये आपका डैश बना देंगे, fraud है, ऐसा कुछ free होता नहीं है, be careful Neha, this. And only 2 comments that were positive, that was me and my colleague. So we were very, very impressed actually that day. We thought, pura तैयार डूब people think it's fraud. And then after 2 days we realized that it's a problem. It's too good to be true. That means there is good part in it. If you can solve that, it will be good. So what we did, it's very interesting. Before the word selfie was invented, we did this thing where a lot of early customers were from IIT and others who got coupons. We used to sell physical coupons. We told them to take a picture of the coupon and post it on our Facebook page. And there were no selfies, so they would ask somebody to take a picture. Okay? So there were no selfies really. We took those pictures, put it on our Facebook page and on our home page, telling that so many people are getting these coupons. So we must be true. So then it started spreading. And one fine day, one British journalist wrote to us, said that, hey, this is cool, I've used the service, can you answer these questions? Send me 3 pictures. हमको लगा कुछ तो ऐसे ही कोई Google बना रहा है. Like, why would somebody want to cover us? 2 hours, article goes live, and our site crashes. So when the news was live, our site was not working. But from that day, we did 500 transactions a day and never looked back. So then we knew, okay, yaar, kuch sahi kar rahe. Then we kept building on top of that. But we had a very interesting habit in our company till we did 10,000 transactions a day. We told ourselves that we will not have the same amount of transactions that we had yesterday, today. So we pushed that very hard and we used to write on our whiteboard every day in a small office. Like, and the number cannot be, and there was a 10,000 thing. Just writing that makes the entire team want to participate. And I'll tell you, we used to cover our gap by calling friends, get transact karte, ask ka goal nahi achieve ho raha hai, write to people on Facebook, make them do a transaction and achieve that goal and push that thing. The learning we had is that if we had done a lot of advertising and built the product, we have built a wrong DNA. We would have not got the insights that we did get. A lot of people used to write and say, ये debit card का details दे दो, आप ही transact करके कौन भेजता है? They would send the entire details to us. And we are like, shit, like this is scary because imagine if this information gets leaked. And even today, our customer care gets net banking username and password. There was transaction हुआ है, आपका refund नहीं आया है, आप check कर लो. Log into our bank account and check it. That's very scary about this country. And that's India that we are dealing with, right? There's a very interesting other learning that we've had is that when the incentive is strong enough, people will not feel the friction. Okay, let me give you an example. How many of you have applied for a US visa and got a US visa? Okay, good. A lot of you, if you think about it, the US visa has a lot of friction. ये document, ये procedure, ये fingerprint, ये eye retina scan, this. But because you are loving the incentive at the end, you don't feel the steps. Okay? Every product which has a huge incentive people don't feel the steps of it. Okay? Because the joy of that thing. So when Facebook came early on, they used to say, oh, this particular person has shared their photographs with you, want to see it? हमने register किया, login किया, सब कुछ किया just to see those pictures, right? The incentive when it's large enough, right? Imagine somebody has shared a good picture on WhatsApp in this poor network. You know how much effort you take to like this network, थोड़ा सा कुछ or imagine the younger audience I'll talk about. Imagine a Snapchat coming to you, and then the effort you take to get the network going, right? It's the same thing that when the incentive is large enough, people don't feel the friction. If your products create great incentive, if your incentive of the product is so poor, people will start feeling those steps. They'll hate, hey, क्या इतना बड़ा फॉर्म दे दिया है login का, oh, इसमें ये 2 बार क्यों पूछा मुझे, right? Because the incentive is not large enough. If the incentive is large enough, like the US visa, you say, stand in queue, do everything, and get there, right? A lot of people from the older generation, when movies were not for weekend only, we used to stand in queue to get a movie ticket like 2 weeks in advance. Because the incentive was large enough. And the incentive was also large enough to say, अरे मेरे पास first day first show का ticket है. What's the real incentive? The movie could be crap. The social element of saying that I have something that you could not get was big deal, right? So another thing is staying younger. So what I learned very early on is that I have to stay younger by keeping in touch with a lot of the younger audience. So I still spend a lot of time with a lot of 18, 20, 21, 22-year-olds just to stay young. In fact, I'm going to an event at Sunburn right now after this with my 12-year-old, 13-year-old niece, so that I can stay young. I'm going for the EDM show. It's the thing where we realize that it's important to understand your TG and you have to do everything for it. A lot of people sit in our offices and think हमको सब मालूम है. It doesn't work. You have to spend actual time with them, learn their reservation insights and so on and so forth, at least in the early part of the journey. Then you get used to the still data coming to you. Without data, you have to go do human interactions. So that was some of the learnings for us. In terms of the journey where we had funding, we were the first ones to come up with this idea. We are the only proud Indian company which was copied by at least 6-7 companies in India, right? To the point that even today, Airtel copied our exact offering and made my Airtel app. And we're very proud that so many people copied us. That's another thing in India. Very few people do come with original ideas, right? We're very busy trying to create Uber of India, Amazon of India, this of India, ClassPass of India, and all of those things, right? It's just very easy for us to do that. We do not want to use this. And this is so easy because you could see problems in front of you and build a solution for it. You don't need to copy something from the West. We were so lucky that nobody used to think Recharge was e-commerce category altogether. No e-commerce report covered Recharge. And we were so happy. Because if they had covered, they would have launched Recharge. So we were very lucky, right? That's the opportunity. When you see some Western success, I can tell you guaranteed that I heard fitness aggregation twice in this room already. Imagine the probability of this in nation. Because there's some success over there, यहाँ पे copy हो रहा है. The chances of success over there diminishes because of so many companies fighting for that, right? Laundry, I heard. I have at least met 5 laundry companies myself. I don't know how many exist already offering laundry. इतना नहीं कपड़ा धोते लोग यार. इतने companies exist करेंगे, right? That's another thing that we just find one pattern in India and we just go crazy about it, right? So much so that a lot of companies used to copy our HTML and exactly copy that. And I've seen one telco who actually copied our HTML and put the coupons exactly that way, right? So that's another thing about India. Dimag mat chalao. Copy paste, beautiful copy paste. And that's that thing where we don't want to take the effort to understand and research from the consumer's mind. We don't do that. Apart from this, spending a lot of time with industry people and other entrepreneurs, other people who have done it is very useful, right? Staying humble is very critical. A lot of people get too arrogant too early in their life. The only thing is the information stops coming to you when you become too arrogant too early, right? For me, I still spend a lot of time asking younger people, doing discussions with them. When our first ad launched, how many of you have seen that? Mumbai ad. Yeah. We actually were so skeptical that I personally went at 2 coffee shops, made people watch the ad and asked them, "Samajh mein aa gaya, kya hai, good, bad, this thing." When I was 20, we went live on television. That's the kind of paranoia you need to have for everything you make. And we work on a very interesting thing called as pride metric, at least in the recent past in the company. I'll tell you what is pride metric for us. So everybody in your team knows when they're doing a good or bad job. Always. Also you're doing job, you know, aaj acha kaam kiya, kya time pass kar, you know it very clearly. When they ship something, when they release something, you ask them that was this 9 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 in your own view. Most people cannot lie and say, "Nahi sir, 9 out of 10." They'll say, "Sir, 5 out of 10." Then I tell them, "Then क्यों मुझे दिखा रहे हो फिर? जब तक 9 out of 10 नहीं है, मत करो." When you do that, people will work hard. You have to push them to say, "Show me what you're proud of. Don't do a job over here." I think that's when it becomes a startup or a big company difference. There are 2 things that you'll observe in startups and big companies. Number of decisions being taken per week will be dramatically more in a startup. Less of a comfort zone. They're constantly deciding, failing, deciding. And second thing is about the pride part of it. Okay, yeah, we cannot be this uncool product. We have to be more cool, and that makes them really cooler eventually, right? So these are some of the learnings when this particular event happened. To be very honest, it's a rare one for a non-engineering, non-MBA to get here, but I can tell you it's actually pretty easy. Right? Like I said, big ass market, smart ass team, and kick ass product. If you get this combination going, you will figure it out. But it's very important to have a very goal-centric behavior. I have not seen many people have that kind of thing, that you have to be very hungry, that your passion is felt in every member of your team. Okay? That's when they will work long hours without you having to tell them. They will do something in time. They will, and by the way, it's not that I've done something perfect. I have screwed up hundreds of times. Right, from hiring wrong people to making wrong decisions, taking wrong calls. But the ratio of good and bad decisions, I've kept it on the positive side. But I took a lot of decisions, constantly. I was not waiting for something to happen to me. Right? Including the decision to take an exit and join with Snapdeal. It was a decision that we took because it made sense at that point of time. Right? A lot of us don't realize that it doesn't take anything special. It just takes crazy amount of grit, the ability to just keep going and not see problems. In fact, problems should start giving you pleasure. Pain should start giving you pleasure. That's when you know you're hitting a successful entrepreneur's journey. Right? The moment you say, "Hey, I'm going to enjoy pain and look forward to problems and give disproportionate time and effort and thing to that," it starts giving you a different high. And success makes you smart, okay? Not the other way around. I have seen many smart people who will not be successful. They will be probably doing a good job somewhere, but very hard to do that because they don't have the ability to learn and be humble enough to keep changing every day. Right? So I keep staying younger, and I am hoping to do that. And what I would love to do is in the second part of the session, I can keep going on doing this, but love to interact and probably answer some of your questions and give some experiences through that particular question answer and keep it more relevant with the audience. By the way, I don't understand why there are so many CAs over here. What's wrong? Like, is there a group that has a subgroup over here? Is a CA group?
So there's a left out feeling because all the engineers are starting up. So CAs
Economist has predicted that by 2030 there will be no accountancy jobs. Bad news.
CAs has good business acumen.
I disagree. They have the impression that they have a good business acumen. That works against them sometimes.
There are examples.
Examples are in every case. I'm a philosophy graduate. Doesn't mean all sociologists are smart. So that's a problem of another thing is about impression. Oh, मैं गुजराती हूँ, मेरे तो खून में ही है. It works against you guys. It works against you. Just do it, prove it first. Then tell others that probably I have it in me. So just another very important word of caution. Don't work with these pre-set notions. I know numbers. Now we bana a plan. Business कैसे scale करोगे? Zero. It works against you, by the way, when you have these old notions. अरे ये कौन use करेगा online? Suddenly massive market. I can tell you a lot of people I met like ये कौन app से cab book करेगा? Lakhs of rides happening every day in this country. In just 2 years. Businesses are going to have a shelf life of 5 to 7 years now. तुम नहीं मारोगे तो कोई मार देगा. All these 20-year-old, 25-year-old legacy businesses will not last. They will get disrupted very quickly. I'll tell you why. Information is spreading so quickly that hiding information or information asymmetry is not the business model. All these middlemen trading businesses will die. I was just talking to all of that. Airbnb is a classic example. Right? I booked something in Istanbul, Turkey, stayed with my friends over there, paid all of that cheaper than hotel, and I'm back. I had a better experience in a hotel. And this was somebody else's house, they gave it to us. It's all done. Game over. Like a hotel is disrupted. If the Airbnb houses become better, they give you something right by the ocean, with great amenities, this, that, why would you want to go to stay at a hotel, right? When I told this to 20 of my friends, they have all moved to Airbnb who travel abroad frequently. This is an example of why a lot of these old ideas, right? And the problem of old ideas and business models is, हमको पता है, no study talks about failures. Why it will fail? Why will this disappear in 3 years' time? Look at our behavior on mobile phone, right? We want to do everything on it. Everything on it. There are less apps than our needs to do on those things, right? It's like a magic button. Button दबाया, cab आना चाहिए, button दबाया, खाना आना चाहिए, button दबाया, recharge होना चाहिए, button दबाया, गाड़ी fuel होना चाहिए. I don't know. Why do I have to fuel my car in a queue? I don't know. Maybe it will change. So what I'm saying is that, guys, if you will not think about this and act on it, and don't work with this preset notion that ये ऐसा होता है. By the way, a lot of the businesses of future are not even profitable. I can tell you, a CA will never tell you that. Okay, non-profitable business is getting this kind of valuations, and therefore this does not make sense. But I tell you, what is value? Value is a function of what I think is valuable. Profit was a way to show me that this is valuable. Now it's not. Right? Or something like Uber is being valued at like 15, 20, 25 billion dollars already. It's very powerful.
To what extent are these valuations realistic?
What is the function of valuation? Is it realistic based on what people believe it to be? Is God real? No, I'm asking a simple question. No, I'm asking this question. I say, till a lot of people believe it is real, it will stay real. The moment belief goes away, is Nestle the valuation true today? The Nestle, after Maggie episode, it's dropped like a $900 billion drop, or I don't know, whatever the number is. Is that the true valuation of Maggie?
No, I'm not talking in terms of just, take Uber, $40 billion. Going back to the dot-com bust days, they were talking, there was, I think, a web portal for travel. I mean, can you believe it? The combined value of that, the value of that was more than the combined value of the airlines put together.
Yeah.
I mean, is this an act of imbecility, or is this?
It's a very good question. Let me ask you the difference between the two periods. By the way, everybody knows the learning of that period. That data is available. That time, the acquisition, and the return from that customer was so skewed that they could never make money in 20 years. Uber does not spend on marketing. They do referrals. Okay? Their cost of acquisition of a customer is cheaper than somebody like Flipkart also. Much lower than that. So that's the first point. Second point is, they are actually making some money in per city in India already. I know, and you should probably drive with some of us. I think the Uber drivers are already making 2, 3, 4, 5x than their salaries. So the point is, Uber is actually making money. It's not revealing.
No, I'll disagree with you to a certain extent, if you allow me.
Absolutely.
First of all, you have this stupid concept called cash burn ratio.
Sure.
I'll go back to Amazon.
Sure.
Okay. Amazon was boasting they were burning so much cash and this thing. An Indian analyst, I think Assam Agarwal, poured a bucket of cold water. Simple, people were getting carried away, the valuations and things like that. Everybody was being swept away along with that. This guy came and poured a bucket of cold water on them.
And Amazon's valuation is gone?
No. He said within 6 months, at the current cash burn ratio, Amazon will be out of money.
Okay.
I think that brought some sense to them.
I disagree. I have met Jeff Bezos. The guy does not work with one analyst view. I'll tell you what. Old school, new school, every 100 years, these kind of debates have already happened. Wealth creation, if I look at back at 800 years, Bombay's wealth is made on opium. Nobody knows this. All the wealth of Bombay from the early days, all these big Parsis who made a lot of money was opium. David Sassoon Library was the biggest opium dealer. Right? Churni Road was built by Mr. Singh, was just there. We don't know that. Abhi wo model sahi tha, I don't know. A lot of things get forgotten. Right? HSBC Bank, a lot of people don't know the history of that. Right? The point I'm making is, wealth creation, wealth thing is function of how many people are attracted to it and get stick to it. Right? Will they monetize that is a function of time and right moves. In consumer businesses, traction is the biggest thing. A lot of people don't realize, offline retailers, I tell you, even today don't know the name and details of their customers who come to them and are they coming back to them, they don't know. Even today. How will these kind of businesses, I know very precisely, month on month, what percentage of the January 2011 cohorts came and transacted this month. And I know the precise reason why they dropped off. And what can I do to bring them back? The methods of these things will get challenged. So, will online retail disrupt offline retail? Yes, to some extent. They have done it in other geographies and will do it. Will we change as consumers? Of course, we are lazy. Who wants to go and shop unless it's something that gives me joy, right? So a lot of these things will be a function of timing. A lot of things are done out of turn, right? .com first happened because we thought, "Arey, sab log aa jayenge." But look at it today. Look at the person of behavior. Look at our smartphone behavior. I'll give you our example. In Freecharge, when we launched our app, we thought this was 14, 15 months ago. Kuch log aayenge. And for the first few months, 5% of transactions happened on the app. Today, 90% of our transactions happen on mobile. 90% of transactions using bank, card, and all of that. I would have not believed it. Forget about anybody else telling me that. So these things are changing that fast. So in terms of valuation, this thing is a bet of future, right? I can tell you, please, I would really advise you to go to China. It's like time traveling. You will see that everything is done over there in mobile, and India is going to get there because we do not have the basics in place, and mobile is the only way to just connect all these things. A lot of businesses will get disrupted. Are the valuations insane? I think so, but when you take a 15-year view out, maybe it doesn't make a difference. But who knows? More questions, guys?
Yeah, lady there.
Yeah, Kunal, you mentioned that when you went to, when you had your first investment, you already had a certain amount of traction that was going really well. Would you recommend, I mean, that happened like 3-4 years back.
Yeah.
Would would you recommend the same thing to any startup person in the startup ecosystem today? Because everybody speaks to you about, okay, what's your traction? If you're not going to get it to me organically, somebody else pays money and I'll get the traction in any case. So would you recommend the same thing?
Let me understand. You think that would you recommend that I should go for funding after traction or before traction? What is the
No,
question?
so one is that do businesses have time to grow organically and build the product really well just the way you did? Do they have that time today? Because if today you don't do it, somebody else does it very, very quickly because everybody's CAC costs are here while your CAC costs are still.
I always will disagree with the view that you're going to run out of time. This is such a massive country. And we have no loyalty in this country. That's another thing. We switch app or make my trip to clear trip for 50 rupees. Please understand that if you get the consumer experience right, understand the DNA and spend a lot of time on that, you will always have time to keep scaling. I'm not saying that you should not scale aggressively, but if you don't spend time understanding consumer product and market without spending money, you are losing all these learnings, and that is one more valuable. Time is never lost. I mean, I disagree that बहुत late हो जाएगा. I can good players can come now. I can tell you all Freecharge can be disrupted now. Even after we have companies who are like well funded.
You got bought over because of the kind of traction and the numbers that you had, right? So
Yeah, but I'm just saying that was a function of our deep insights and learnings on how to do this versus what if there are so many. By the way, Freecharge portals existed before us also. They are ancient now. Nobody looks at them. Because we went ahead and did this kind of thing. So I disagree that you have to say, "Arey boss, late ho jayega." I disagree on that.
So Snapdeal recently opened an office in San Francisco, and you also spoke about the lack of engineering talent. What do you think we can do to improve the quality of engineers?
First of all, we do not have the, like I said, the pride thing yet. We are doing jobs so far.
Yeah.
The moment the jobs becomes what I have built and I can demo it and that kind of a strong passion attached to that, you're going to have this problem. I don't think we have lack of talent from a sheer grey matter perspective. We have a lot of smart people over here. But the mentality is like, "Arey yaar, job, bill, ya EMI, ghar, shadi, this, that." Like, it's a nice SOP we have built for ourselves, right? And it just, that has to break. And we are not very proud to do something yet. I'll tell you another thing, a classic example. When we did our first ad and we did a group with our engineers, I said, "What do you think about the ad?" You know, the biggest feedback was, "Arey, this would be easy now when we go for a marriage thing, they'll say, अच्छा company में काम करता है." Because TV ad आ गया. This is actual feedback. I did another feedback. We had a very crappy looking garage office in Bangalore when we started off, and one engineer joined us and the landlord said, "Idhar kaam karte ho?" When he was going to go and rent an apartment, he said, "Freecharge." Like, pata nahi. He came to our office with that guy to see our office kaisa hai. He looked at the office. He says, "Tumse nahi ho payega. Tum go rent." He did not give the apartment to that guy. So this is another thing because they say, "Arey yaar, if I would have said Infosys, I would have not had a challenge." But by the way, he was getting a lot more salary for his age and experience than Infosys guy was getting, but nobody believed it. So a lot of hard decisions are being made by what is socially. I talk about the social thing, right? So sugarcoating is one thing. Second thing is recognition in the thing and safe zone.
We have an interesting thing that happened. A guy called up for this event and he says, "You know, this is free charge." You say, "But you know, you're actually charging online."
Yeah, I don't know why you're charging. So free mein aa gaya tha.
No, but guys, so get it. This is Gyan and as usual free, but worth its weight in gold. I mean, this is unbelievable Gyan that's coming here.
Cool, go for it.
Yeah, I wrote, as I said, that we do investment.
Don't wait for somebody to speak first.
Yeah.
Speak first.
We are not basically, you know, those PPT investors. Basically, we don't see that. We come from a very traditional background where we buy factories and all of those stuff. So we don't know much about, you know, how things work, and I probably don't know about Freecharge because I don't use it. So sorry. But there are only two simple questions that come to our mind as if we think as an investment. Why are people only trying to innovate on internet? what has gone wrong with developing product?
Good question. What is the second question?
Because the thing is that...
no, I understood the question. What is the second question?
The second question is sustainability of whatever business is. For example, you rightly pointed out e-commerce. That even after Flipkart spending so much money, giving discounts, like I buy on Flipkart, but as you said, if I find the product better on Amazon or 10 rupee difference, I will go to that. So
and you're a diamond merchant for 10 rupees. Okay, first part, why internet businesses are more powerful. Imagine trying to create a recharge shop with 22 million customers in 5 years, doing millions of transactions a month, not possible. Internet businesses allow a scale. Our team size is probably 80-90 people, minus the customer care team. Imagine a company which was sold at this valuation with 80-90 people.
Yes.
That's only possible because of internet. With less amount of people, large amount of impact. That's the reason internet businesses are valued a lot more than the traditional businesses which are asset heavy. That's the first part of the thing. Second part is very interesting on when consumer behavior changes. Let me ask you a question actually. How many of you have ever booked a railway ticket at a railway platform? Long distance train. Okay. And you understand the experience of what it is.
I think
so if I have to, sorry?
Recently or?
It doesn't matter, even now. Even now. I'll tell you what is the difference on when new behavior comes in. Let me give you an example. If I have to ask you a score of experience of booking tickets at a railway platform for outstation trip, what would be the score out of 10? Can you just minus, give a score, like just give a score. 2. What is the score for booking ticket on IRCTC? 6. Compared to railway platform. Okay. Now we are trying to judge कि IRCTC को अच्छा बोलूं कि नहीं बोलूं. The real point is you have to compare with the previous experience, which was probably in minus or in 1 or 2. When 1 or 2 becomes 5 or 6. Nobody goes back to old behavior. How many of you, after learning to book a ticket on IRCTC, have gone back to the platform? How many of you? Some special cases. Special case. So one person raised the hand. So when a new behavior has a dramatically higher score than the old behavior, it becomes the new behavior. Make sense? Okay, now take an example of e-commerce. What is the score of buying a shirt offline versus shirt online? Anybody want to give a score? Anybody who bought offline and online shirts?
4 versus 8. Offline would be somewhere around 3. Online would be somewhere around 6, 7.
Okay, now I'm removing the discounts. Okay. What is the score now?
Offline would be somewhere around 8 and offline would be somewhere around 5.
But the offline should have not changed with the discount, by the way. Only the I'll tell you what happened now. But if I ask the same, any women who have online offline experience?
My offline would be 8 and my online would be 5.
Yeah.
I disagree.
What's your score?
Mine online would be 10 out of 10 and offline would be like 5, 6.
Okay.
The reason being very clearly that when you're shopping online, you obviously see it on somebody, and women always buy, when you see it on somebody or the whole ensemble together, you don't buy as separate.
Correct. So evolved behavior. I'm guessing you do a lot of transactions online.
Okay. An addict.
Yeah. So, perfect. The thing that happens is till the new behavior becomes a higher score, it requires an artificial catalyst called as discount to increase the score artificially. Till it becomes the new behavior that you have adopted, this is the addictive behavior. By the way, all wealth across the world has been made only with one behavior called addiction. Uber, opium, everything is a function of addiction. Are you creating an experience that people get addicted to? is the key. I'll tell you one more trick that I learned, which a lot of business in India already do very well. How many of you have ever been yourself or with somebody else for a sari shopping or women's wear shopping? Just raise your hand. Okay. A lot of these shops in India will say, "Aao baitho, chai pani nashta." If you have that nashta or chai pani, you will buy something because the reciprocation kicks in. Have you seen on the signals? Sorry if I'm offending anybody who's religious over here. Hare Rama Hare Krishna will give you a free Gita, and then donation, you cannot say no to it. The Gita was not really free. So the point I'm trying to say that reciprocation is another behavior which creates transactions. Right? It is done traditionally. We've forgotten that science. It's being brought a lot now. Any business which gives you a sense of reciprocity, when they do something for you first, you are obligated to do something for them.
Barter.
Social frameworks work with barters a lot. Coming back to the question that you asked, the behavior that becomes naturally higher will stick to that. We will not go back to this. Let me ask you a question. How many of you, after moving to Uber, Ola, have gone back to traditional taxis or Meru? Not really. Have you gone back to this? Only availability is not there.
I tried to call it, so
okay.
Southbound we don't get one.
Okay, I disagree. I get all the time. But anyways, the point I'm saying is that it's bringing its cost constantly down because of aggregation and scale, and all drivers are getting rides within 5-minute timeline, so the costs are constantly going up. They're doing 16, 17 rides a day, which is impossible in regular taxi. Right? So, any other question? You had a question?
Yeah.
I'll just come back.
So one of the main questions is, as we are seeing this movement of transactions online, are you seeing the ticket size in the transactions increasing? I mean the average ticket size. The reason I ask this question is, the traditional markets wherein the transaction sizes are large, example being real estate or rentals or something like that, do you see there being a transition where people will start making those payments online, provided obviously there is a value initially provided to them and eventually things changing?
Ticket size changed based on income, not by offering. Okay? We buy more expensive shirts in our life when we start getting more salary. Not because somebody offers more thing. We probably do that by buying one shirt if you don't buy two shirts. So I think income has a bigger influence in ticket size than offering. I do believe that variety creates the need to buy more than less. If I see 2,000 shirts, I'm more likely to buy a 2 shirt than 1 shirt versus a store which has 200 shirts to offer. So the basket size can change. Ticket size is a function of income, in my view, and will not change unless the GDP keeps growing the way it should be.
So my question more specifically being, has internet now evolved so much that it can disrupt the normal way in which people transact?
It is already doing it. Yeah. I mean, all of us are
and into traditionally non-invasive economies like real estate being one example of it.
There are certain things which will go through that chain, certain things that will not go through that chain. Transaction size, 200 rupees recharge versus 1 crore rupees flat will not have the same online behavior.
Because Tata had sold a few flats on
Yeah, 8 to flats se behavior nahi change see, anecdote is not data. Remember that. One learning. You always find one example to show you, oh, udhar to US mein $20 million ka ek yacht bhi bika tha. Doesn't mean you start doing yacht e-commerce because ek example de diya. So please remember, 1, 2 will not create data behavior. This is confirmation bias again, right? When you love your idea, you will find 1, 2 examples of it, always.
You know, in this aggregation business that is there, you always have chicken neck problem. That there are customers who won't come unless you have a lot of retailers, right? In your case, unless a lot of coupons are there, you know, you will not, I should go, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, the company would ask, you know, you don't have footfall, so why should I give you coupons?
Yeah.
So tell me in the initial days, you know, first 30 days.
Good question.
How do you got this in retailers?
Every big company would love to support a small startup if they show the passion and persistence to get there. We were very, very persistent, very, very shameless, promised them that we will show them results, and a lot of people support that kind of stuff. It is a myth that people don't want to help small companies. In fact, they all want to participate in somebody else's success as long as you are making sense. If you don't make sense, it will not make sense.
Are they looking for some commitment, which, in some sense, sometimes people say, okay, give us so much for.
Yes, and then you're talking to the wrong people in the company. When you ask somebody else, मैं आपके boss से मिल सकता हूँ क्या? Then you say आपके boss से मिल सकता हूँ क्या? You will always find who will support it. You will always find an entrepreneur over there who also struggled to build his company, who supported us. So find your way up there.
Hi, Kunal.
Next question then. Yeah, there's a back there.
Hey, Kunal. From a purely startup point of view, for someone who's a non-tech person and wants to venture into the digital space, what's your view on proceeding on either co-founding or trying to find tech co-founders versus sort of purely outsourcing it or service-basing it?
I had outsourced and it was a bad idea.
Right. Got it.
So,
and
do whatever
any
it is.
tips or views to sort of make people say an immediate circle of social circle of people once knows, you don't end up meeting a lot of tech people if you're not.
So go for tech startup events.
Got it.
Yeah, question.
You just earlier you spoke about your market size, the biggest market and all. But then you also mentioned, which is also same for housing.com, if you see, that the market is huge. The potential of the market is too huge. But the tapping so far, after your 3 years or 5 years, as you said, is probably online recharging is only 3 to 5% so far that you're covering of the total market available, and even housing.com for that matter.
So what's the question? Make it short.
Sorry. So the question here is that how do you come from this, how do you change the people's mentality perspective? Now that 5% that is there, it is probably the youth that you're covering and everything.
So first of all, I disagree that housing is a large market compared to recharge. You buy a house once in a lifetime,
right.
Rent once in a year or once in 2 years. You recharge once a week, very different markets. The ticket sizes are very different, right? And the current buying behavior is less online because we do a lot of manual work before we take a decision. They are influencing decisions. People's behavior will not change just because we build a cool product. Please never believe that. I gave you the example why people spread something. You remember the Truecaller example?
Yeah.
Moment that happens in a housing kind of industry, people will spread that too, right? Everybody needs to understand that people don't change. By the way, we don't change behavior. Okay? None of us ever change anything. We love to follow one pattern. So unless something really makes us smarter, better, we won't change it.
Yeah, the question there from the lady there.
Hi. Hi. So could you talk a little about your 9-month journey before you actually build the product in approaching the telecom and the business? As in what material you took to them, or was it just your passion?
It was very discouraging if I gave too much attention to it, but I was too passionate to go live with something, so I didn't care. I still don't care. When I'm pursuing something, I don't see the hurdles as much. I don't give anybody a chance to dishearten me.
In the sense, did you, what was your point of touching base with them? Did you just start?
I would write to the CEO directly, find his email address somehow, or guess his email address.
Sorry, what is the question?
The question, what was your point of contact to reach and convince or whatever? So I was saying that I would reach out to them directly, not wait for somebody to give me an appointment. Talking to the top guys usually work better for me. Getting their attention requires a certain skill. So you have to show aapka fayda kya hai first, then they respond to you.
Exactly. So did you do any sort of projections, or was it?
No, we just told them this.
What was your pitch? What was your pitch?
Our pitch was that it will give you additional footfall because we told the telcos that retail is a massive footfall industry, and we told retail that telco is a massive footfall industry. Everybody was looking at the elephant on the other side, and we were the middlemen.
Yeah,
validation of the idea. If you have an idea, what can you do the customers? What else do you suggest?
Go live, see if you are getting traction.
Apart from that, apart from talking to the people, do you think there's something else to validate your idea?
See, validation is a function of multiple things. You ask, let's say, Kunal Shah and say that makes sense, doesn't mean anything. If Kunal says does not make, still doesn't mean anything. Right? So you have to go try this in the market, see. The common sense will come to you very quickly when you go enough in the market. Are you an engineer?
No.
Okay.
I'm working on a tech startup, mainly focusing on
Are you a tech
mobile
guy?
apps. No, not at all.
Good. So one request is a lot of tech startup guys, stay in the room and imagine the world. Go to the world and see the world, and then build something in the room. A lot of tech startups tend to not do that. And that kind of gives them, takes a lot of time for them to get there and get stuff done. Unfortunately, our education system, by the time you get to, some of them are IIT Bombay also here, they have done nothing but studying all their life. Real world, that's why you suddenly see 25 startups in IIT Bombay for education, because life में एक ही चीज देगा. Am I correct?
Yeah, question there.
Sir, you told that whenever you get an idea, you don't fall in love with that idea. Research that idea. Right? You need to research about its feasibility. Sir, taking my example, if I have an idea, but then there are two problems which always come into my mind. One is the sustainability of that idea, and one is the lack of technological background that I have. So, are those two things will hold us back, or what is the next step forward?
If you lack confidence, even with the best idea, best technology skill, best market fit, you'll still be asking this question. Try it, fail through experiences versus preparing too much and work jumping into it, right? There's a rule of bungee jumping. खाली एक पैर पे rope मार के jump मारो. Rope is important, but otherwise you die.
Yeah, good question.
Hi, Kunal, this is with respect to finance that you raised. So if your company is so good, if people are valuing your company at multiple millions and billions, why not just take a loan and then still own the 100% of the company?
Good question. The old school says that you own the shares and build profits and all of that. The new school says that it's okay to share the thing because it makes your company almost death-proof when you make some strong people as your partners, right? So in the fast-paced companies that exist today, it is very important for your survival to be there, which loans cannot ensure. A very strong investor who have deep pockets ensure your survival and gives you a chance to make disproportionately higher amount of mistakes than a bank loan will give you. Right? So that is the.
I think if you share equity, you don't die alone.
Usually, if you have good investors, you don't die. You may decay, stagnate. There are enough companies out there. Alok knows a few of them who survive.
Yeah, at the back there.
There's a general theme in everything you've spoken about. You mentioned consumer behavior everywhere. So as a starting point, is there a book which you can recommend for somebody to?
The word is human behavior. Consumer is a subset because we also recruit humans. We also sell to humans. So go to Amazon, search for human behavior, top 20 books.
No, I thought anything which has influenced you a lot.
I would not want to give you one name. It's not a subject which one book will say. That's another thing. Shortcut mein mat dhundo topic. It will give you half knowledge and you start talking about it. It will not make sense.
Yeah. So actually, I just wanted to raise this part.
One definitive book.
Mobile only, just like Mudra, and what is the logic behind doing only mobile? I don't understand.
Yeah. So customers who come on mobile app tend to be 3x more stickier than the guys who came on web. I'll tell you why. एक ऐप डालते हैं रोज सुबह शाम उसका लोगो देखता हूँ. How many times you check your phone every day? A lot of times. So every time a subconscious recollection is happening. So shirt का बल्ब जलेगा तो सीधा मित्रा का ऐप का आइकन याद आएगा. A web is a site you have to open. Make sense?
Yeah. Right.
Alright. Now, first of all, congratulations on the deal with Snapdeal.
Thank you.
First question I want to ask you is this journey of 5 years that has been with Freecharge and leap you've reached. You mentioned you were doing some 14,000 transactions a day. What is at one point you realized that this is the time I need to expand? This is the time I need funding?
The day when the day I got realized is a good idea is when the Rediff article came and we did 500 transactions a day and we never went back from that. It was the time I said, अच्छा ही कर रहे हैं. The time I thought funding was required because we just thought that इतने लोग लिख रहे हैं, कुछ मिलके आते हैं देख के. Then we realized
is it necessary to grow you need funding?
It is necessary to grow and whatever it takes. If it's funding, then you do funding.
Yeah.
How do you manage self?
Sorry,
self? Sorry, I don't know.
No. So anyway,
go ahead.
So like you're starting up and you feel okay, this chalega ki nahi chalega, and you start doubting yourself for your decisions. How do you manage that?
So one thing you never show your team that you have doubt ke chalega ke nahi chalega. That's first thing. In introspection, keep validating on your own. So when you're in the room, become the biggest critic, and when you're out, become the biggest optimist. So because the team will sense it in you, and that will be a bad thing for you. So always believe that people back people who have backbones. Remember that.
Yeah. So I'm going to pack in as many questions. Keep it short. There is constraint on time. No, sorry. Just
let him decide.
Yeah. Just wait.
Can I get my 50-year-old dad to use a Freecharge app because all your ads are based on you?
Hey, don't try to change him. What you should do is do it for him. He's right now going through the same journey where he's probably going to come on social media first, which he probably all started doing or not doing. Is he on WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Okay. Probably get into some groups, learn. Till he sees the other 50-year-old doing a new behavior, he's not going to change just because the young kid is saying. Because they don't. Traditionally, all the people who are old think the young is not smart.
Kids do not have debit cards, the older ones have. So, you know, I
It's not true. It's not true. Everybody has a debit card now.
I mean, 18 years old do not get debit.
They actually do now. So get one.
You paid $90 million in February and sold the company in March.
80. Everything is about timing. And we thought that if merging with somebody who's got larger bets behind them will accelerate our game further, it just made a lot more sense for us. So nobody's actually, it's a notion that we will have that paisa nahi tha isliye company bech diya. We had 600 crores in the bank when we sold the company. So we had not spent most of our money we had raised. So we were sitting that, and we thought combining forces with somebody bigger will give us a disproportionate advantage and allow us to grow further. But versus having to worry about monetization, making money on everything, we just want to focus on growth.
But your M&A process might be going on before closing out the company.
No, we did not have an M&A process. Kunal Shah is a friend of mine. He called me one day. We decided to do the deal at Sahara Star Coffee Shop, and the deal was closed in 21 days.
Yeah, there is a question here. Yes.
So I want to ask, entrepreneurs are made or born? What's your take on that?
Sorry, what is that?
Entrepreneurs are born or made?
I think achievers are a function of, I would not want to use the word entrepreneur because entrepreneurs are a subset of achievers, is a function of somebody wanting to be above average and wanting to break the whole thing of wanting to be below or above average, right? And they have the thing in them to go through all the pain required to get there, and they'll suffer that for that. In my view, a lot of people with mission are born with a need to prove to themselves or somebody else or something that has kind of kept them behind in life. There are some triggers in life which kind of cause those kind of things for people. But in my view, being in circle of achievers is a good probability of becoming an achiever. If you are in circle of losers who tell you, boss ye to nahi hoga, ye to, you get a circle of achievers, the probability of you being an achiever increases a lot.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned about initial outsourcing of the whole tech thing in a negative way, but a lot of startups don't have a lot of resources upfront.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that? Because you also want to get to the market faster, you don't have that talent in-house. And what would you have done differently?
So
now?
I think the trade-off, that one is of speed versus outsourcing, I think the net outcome is negative. That's my view. So I would delay it, but build a team because an outsourced team will never understand the nuances. A guy, an engineer, वो खुद ही देख के कुछ fix कर लेगा, वो outsourcing वाला कभी नहीं करेगा, तुमको बताना पड़ेगा उनको. So our engineering team, I can assure you, fixes hundreds of things which I have no clue about.
And when did you transition, like initially?
Once we went live, we got an engineer, a few engineers in the office, but we never scaled into a big thing. So I think 6 months out, we just kind of started building the team.
Yeah, question there.
So being from a commerce background, my question is on the valuations. As we have noticed that in the last 1 decade, there has been a drastic change in the valuation percentage, shifting from profit to non-profit. Even loss-making companies are attracting so much of valuation. In your view, is this an irrational valuation of gap?
I think so. I think it's irrational. In my view, every valuation is irrational. I don't know why gold is valued so much. I never understood that, to be very honest. But a lot of valuation is a function of a lot of people are believing, right? If that is true, the valuations are a function of that. Will this correct itself? It will. An event has to happen. A major catastrophe has to happen. Otherwise, as a believer, a belief that goes on. Let me give you an example. When something is valued at a certain level, right? How do we know if it's truly that value, right? How do we truly know this is the value of that? There is a set of people who believe in it, and a lot of people who participate in the belief of the other people, right? A lot of investors who come in, they set the valuations, and they say that hey, this is valued so much, but they take the future view out. Right? I told you, a lot of people who invest in our business were saying that travel in this country is 40% online. Railways and online air booking is already 40%, Freecharge is 3%. Which companies are more likely to have the largest share of that 40% when it happens? So that's how they view this thing, and they do the math from that perspective.
Like a Picasso.
So a quick question on this. So, is valuation a function of a supply demand also? I kind of personally feel that valuations keep increasing when the demand is too much and obviously the supply is less. The valuation is so.
Value and price is a function of demand and supply. So
yeah, correct. So
valuation of course is a demand and supply.
Yeah.
Yeah, my question is isn't your success of Freecharge dependent on the coupons also that you offered? Yeah. Like some of the coupons better than the competitors. Like some of them like McDonald's I've been using from the start. Nobody else is able to offer coupons like that. Yeah. So what was the secret about that? Like, how could you manage to?
It's a good question. It's very important to have something that is unique to you. Otherwise, you will just become like everybody else. The way you make it unique is you make the person who's partnering with you to feel that it is absolutely okay for working with one or two brands and trying to become it everywhere. The moment your coupons are good with everywhere, then the value of that coupon diminishes, right? If gold was coming from our tap, would we pay the money we pay from it, right? So scarcity can be artificially created, and we convinced our retailers that working with few partners was better for their coupons than giving out to everybody else.
For the initial years, the coupon of the McDonald's may be much higher than the other.
It's actually not true. The function of coupons is depending on the usage, so whatever frequency you use. So eating out across coffees, movies, everything was equally large for us.
Last time question was Kunal is to get somewhere, so please raise your hand so I know how many questions are there.
I have a very generic question. How do you see 2020 e-commerce in India? I mean, looking to the 90% of ideas I heard that fails. And nowadays valuation, will it go from valuation to net profit level? How do you see 2020?
I know one thing, that a lot of people in India will be buying online, a lot. I don't know which companies will have a play. I think any company that has a lower cost structure will survive. So I think marketplaces will win a lot more than the store and the traditional retail model that is there right now. So that's a question there.
Hi, just want to understand. Let's say you said you need to have an idea, you research on your idea. Let's say I started my own limited funds with that, right? Now there's a time when you know things are going right, but you still need some funds to spend. So I just want to understand, where is that tipping point where you want to really take a call, like this is the right time to probably put investors on board, or probably you still borrow somewhere around and then probably create some more value for them and then probably get investors on board. So that's a
very subjective question, and every industry will have to think. As an entrepreneur, I would say that you will know when it's a good time to take a call, and when you take that call, just know that was a good time to take that call, because all decisions are a good decision. Taking no decisions is a bad decision.
Things up.
Yeah, thank you. We spoke about a lot of different sectors, from retail to finance and stuff like that. But certain sectors where when you want to disrupt the behavior, it's not just general behavior which keeps changing. It's something which has been over years and decades, and it's generally built into the nature and mentality of people. Talking about the education sector, it's something which is set, and it's set with your parents and stuff like that, and you don't even have a real call. So how do you disrupt that? How do you disrupt a mentality which has been on and on since years, and you know that it's going to take much more than just offering something?
I already gave you the secret. You look at the score. If the score appears to be better, people will shift. If the score appears to be lower, they will not shift.
I want to answer this question.
No, you want to answer his question?
Go ahead. Just to add up, I'm in the education space and I am completely trend-setting education. I don't want typical this marks-based education.
And I would just say from parent perspective, education has changed drastically. Look at your SSC, ICSE schools and look at the new
Guys, he's got a short of time.
Education is happening on Wikipedia and YouTube. I became smart only by learning on internet. Books was not good enough for me. I can tell you one thing, education going forward is going to be massively disrupted. The only thing that will remain true is assessment. Learning is going to happen from everywhere, not from the classroom. In fact, from anywhere but classroom.
Last 3 questions, just raise your hand so why? So,
keep going.
Yeah.
How much time do we have?
5 to 7, so you tell me.
We have 35 minutes. Okay, we're going to go.
Yeah,
so 11:30 I'm going to be downstairs.
Oh, okay, that's it.
I can't miss my event.
Let's keep it coming, guys. Yeah.
So you spoke a little bit about engineering, building with the engineering team. What about creativity, design, and your experiences with trying to create that kind of? Because I've spoken to some of the people in your team and I'm really been impressed. So, what is your perspective?
Anything that is prettier, this is a design school, tends to be valued more in perception. Ugly products, even they are beautiful behind, tends to be perceived poorly. Going back to the college example on how we pick which girl or boy, I think the looks mattered a lot. Investment on that is always a good investment. I would say that a lot of people say that क्या फर्क पड़ता है ये design और design में क्या फर्क है? People can feel it, people can perceive it. It is very important to spend on good, not just looking, but also good design products which actually function better, have less decisions to make, have less friction. So I would say investing on good UX and UI is a very, very critical thing. It may not make sense early in your life, so you might want to get one good guy in your team who can do a good job at it.
Can I suggest to that point? Our strategy for the product is whatever is difficult, make it simple. Whatever is simple, make it usable. Whatever is usable, make it beautiful. And then make it accessible.
Sounds like a good idea. It's not that simple.
It is actually taken from one of the SaaS World serial dialogue.
Okay, there's a question there.
Kunal, you said that companies are giving you coupons because of you getting huge amount of footfalls in those companies. Okay, companies like McD, Cinemax, and PVR are already very famous, and they do not wait for younger companies to get the footfall.
That's not true.
And my second question is, why would Snapdeal invest 3,000 crore in your company? Because Snapdeal is again a very famous and mobile recharging is not their pure business. And why will they come in mobile recharging when they have so many other businesses?
First question, I answered that it's not true. Any company who is large is always wanting to keep growing and they want to find methods to keep growing. Famous companies don't stop growing.
Yeah, but if if they want to give the coupons, then Book My Show is the better option for PVR and Cinema.
It's not a place to get coupons for them. When a company wants to grow, they are trying to achieve a certain growth rate and they will do everything and anything to increase that growth rate, otherwise it is coming organically. So inorganic methods, which are the best method, they will pick that. So that's not true. Every company keeps investing in growth methods. It's absolutely wrong to believe that they will not work with anybody else. Second part, I forgot the second part. You said that why would Snapdeal do this? It's very simple. We have a huge amount of transacting customers who trust us and keep coming back to us. If they could find more people who buy more stuff out of that particular customer, they will go after that. Instead of acquiring 20-25 million customers, you buy a company that already has that and kind of migrate these customers to buying more stuff from that.
That is true, but if I am buying on Freecharge, then it is not necessary that I will buy on Snapdeal.
But there's a higher probability than them randomly putting an ad on the road and hoping for people to transact, correct? Probability-wise.
Yeah.
On people who are starting out, I meet two kinds of people usually. One is who want to scale up in
make a big idea because they believe the idea is big, and another kind of people who sort of want to build this idea because they already see an exit in place, so they know they have a hope that somebody will pick them up in whichever form. What's your view on starting out and approaching it either or how important is it to
I don't think any company that works with an exit as a mindset ever gets an exit. Because they never build good stuff.
So the idea is to build a good stuff.
Opium, remember, addiction.
I have a question. Everybody is talking about buying, and all the startups in the same space. Why are, some in the content space, so why are people so shy of investing in content? Because that's going to be, like, if you see the Myntra app, the amount of stuff that you need to scroll through, if somebody actually curated that for me, chances of me, my return as a customer would be a lot higher with a curated platform. Like your same Airbnb example, if you could spread that and share that versus, with an influencer with a much larger reach, that would not be restricted to you, but with a lot more people.
So content and personalization is already being invested in a big way, but automated content personalization companies are being sold in a big amount of numbers. Many companies, including Flipkart, Amazon, Google, buy companies that make better predictions on what the customer will buy. Okay. In terms of investment in content, it's a function of what is going to be the next behavior, right? How many of you read newspapers on a daily basis today? How many of you really read the newspaper every day? Okay. This number is like 20% right now. If somebody came and said, I'm going to create a news thing, by the way, it's not that 80% is not knowing about what the news is. They don't need a newspaper to know what the news is. So content is getting disrupted on how it is being consumed. Social media is the biggest source for news for me.
Yeah, but I'm talking about digital content.
No, I'm saying each of these things in terms of digital content as well as the depth of content or personalized content is getting a lot more automation than actual manual thing behind it, right? So if you're combining content with a lot of automation, it will always be funded.
How many examples? I don't understand content with automation.
What would Kunal like, depending on what he's done before?
Something like news in shorts or the Flipboard. It's huge.
Yeah. Big thing.
Now, how do you realize when you go for funding, what to go for first? Should you go for angels or should you go for VCs?
Put your own money first.
No, after you
I'm giving you order.
Okay.
Then you say, can I take it from friends and family? Because you know what? That's when the maximum amount of responsibility comes from the capital. Then you probably do angels, probably do other investment. It's the timing that matters. We never had to do angel because we got traction before that. We went straight to Series A. But I'm saying everything is different. But please never think of funding as the meter of success. In our company, we never celebrated a funding event. We celebrated when we hit 1 lakh transaction, when we celebrate this, that. You celebrate the right kind of metric, then the mind will start working automatically.
Good question here. Who did you call after the meeting with Kunal? Who was the first person you called? What was the emotion that went through your?
I actually did not call anybody. I told him, let's meet, we'll talk about it. When we met, when we discussed, I thought about it for a few days. Then I called our investors, our shareholders, first the board and then others, and discussed the idea with them. When we were at a stage where we thought we'll make the decision, we informed the core group of our team, and then the rest of the world knows. That's how it's thought about that.
Okay.
You spoke about the referral effect. So, in your opinion, is the network effect the best way today to grow a company?
Yes.
That is the best way.
Yes.
Freecharge, Snapdeals, everyone has their own wallet solution. They're trying to close the loop.
We don't have a wallet solution.
No, not a wallet solution, but your product will evolve with Snapdeals. So, do you think it makes sense for companies to close their wallet system?
I personally don't believe the wallets are making sense right now. It currently exists because there is a second factor authentication that RBI has mandated. So, regulatory arbitrage that is happening in wallets right now, it does not require a second factor. If that goes away, I don't think there's a reason for wallet. I don't ever see my salary coming into a wallet. I have to always transfer money to a wallet. I don't personally believe that wallets will play a big role from that perspective. Will everybody's wallet make sense? I don't think so. Is a wallet required? I don't think so. banks are fairly evolved in this country. And they will catch up on this game. As long as my income and trust stays with somebody, it will stay there.
But isn't it also for refunds easier to keep them? It's like
so refunds is different use cases and wallets.
You give it back in the wallets rather than giving it back.
Banks are making the refund APIs much smarter. So, like I said, everything was a regulatory.
No, from the brand's perspective, rather than giving you cash back, I'll just give you, put it in your wallet so you can use it back.
Honestly, it's the second order benefit. The first order benefit to give them a short for benefit at the bank. If I could, I would give money back in the bank if it was possible in less than 30 seconds.
Yeah. Hi. I run Total HR Solutions, pan-India company. Many of our clients give mass hiring requirements to us. Currently, we have close to 500 plus requirements with us. We are using digital media to source manpower across country where even we do not have presence. But we have not still got the right success. My question is, what would take the, our scheme is refer a candidate and paid, to get paid for or something like that. We've done some ways to get some referrals coming in, but we have not succeeded. My question is, what would take the candidates or people or employees to recommend or refer a friend for a position that we want to advertise?
Good question. Referral works when I'm using my social currency when I refer somebody or refer something. We try to put a value to it. आपको 50,000 रुपए मिलेंगे, 20,000 रुपए मिलेंगे. I think people don't give their own personal reputation at stake for these kind of prices. The model needs to think that what will make
it's very insignificant.
Even if it's significant, the motivations to share are not always money. Look at our own Facebook profile. When we shared something, look at the Maggie news spread. Nobody shared the bad news about Maggie to the next person because of an incentive, but it was a social incentive that Atul may like that isne bata diya Maggie mein kuch to hai. So people share for social currency, not real currency. So you solve that. I don't know the answer. How to do that?
We have Facebook, we have Google account.
That is not.
Many ways.
That's the problem I say. We have Facebook, it doesn't mean Facebook.
Advertisements and various.
That's what I'm saying. It needs more deeper science than that.
Yeah.
You have a B2C business, and my question to you is, in a C2C business like Quicker, how do you build critical mass? Because unless and until you have a lot of people, there will be no successful transaction. And if there is no successful transaction, a lot of people will not come on the platform. So how do you break that logjam?
Good question. You start with a smaller community that you have full control over. It could be your own personal Facebook page, or it could be a fan base, it could be a small community like Startup Grind, and you start somewhere. And you find the highest propensity customers who will become a C2C. It could be a business apartment, it could be a school, college, a group of colleges, and so on and so forth.
And then it will, you're saying that it will network effect will come into picture.
If your product is good.
So in Freecharge, you took something which is a regular top up and you combined it with discount coupons. So basically there was a barter kind of thing that happened. Someone wanted footfalls and someone wanted to sell the top ups. Can this be extended, or do you think that this can be this is the future where there will be a lot of barter deals? So you can still think of a lot of top ups, like I want to top up my bike, or I want to top up the gas at home, the CNG gas, etc. And against that, I can give a trade-off of someone who's looking for some, kind of footfall.
Yes, but it's not copy-paste.
Yeah, obviously
not. A lot of
Obviously
people do that copy-paste. Giving a McDonald's coupon for a bike will be stupid.
Yeah,
but giving something else would make sense. So I think barter as a currency will come back very soon. Because currency was invented because you could not define value of something. Historically, currency was defined because of that. I think a lot of computers and algorithms and valuations that people can do with social gatherings will bring back the barter currency very soon. So not Bitcoin is a classic example of how some of the new currencies can be developed. I think barter as a currency will come very soon, and that will be a massive disruption for a lot of businesses.
So would you think Freecharge, the next step would be to kind of extend this to some other stuff?
Not really. 3%.
So you have a long way to go.
Focus is also very important, right? It's very easy to get tempted. Yeah, ये भी है, ये भी makes sense. Maybe it makes sense, right? It doesn't make sense when your energies are not spent in marketing.
Yeah, but you still have this now this close association with Stabby. I mean,
sure.
So there could be a kind of synergy or something.
No, in fact, we are staying as a separate brand, doing what we are doing, and being more focused now than what we were before, because they need to do what they need to do, we need to do what we need to do.
There was a question here.
This meeting, or wherever we go, is primarily English centric.
Yeah.
Okay. All the startups and this thing, whatever we are reading is largely English based. And tell me, your own product, are you catering in languages, say Gujarati, Hindi or others, or it's only English?
Most of our customers don't know how to speak English. Most of our customers don't even know how to write English. Future of products is not with language, it is with symbols and graphics. Angry Birds is played across this country without a language. We are too caught up in trying to make our language important. Language was invented to communicate that we can see visually. I'll give an example. Again, my niece is an example. By the way, 12-year-olds and 30-year-olds are perfect places to learn these examples. She was coming to my house in Andheri from a townhouse, and I asked her, where have you reached? She sent me a picture of Bandra ceiling. I was offended for a second because she did not write. But then I learned that the language was invented to write what she was going to see. She sent in one click a picture instead of 16 clicks or whatever to write Bandra ceiling. Language is not important. It's gone.
No, not that way. What I was trying to say that largely all these meetings that we have been having are English centric. It gives me the feeling that a very small segment of the, like you were saying, your own market is so huge that you're going to do. So looking at whether it's Hindi, Gujarati and other languages, one doesn't hear much about startup ventures and startup this thing taking off in the language.
Something like News Hunt as a company which has got multilingual news is massive.
Which one?
News Hunt. 50-60 million active users.
Can I just answer your question?
Yeah.
You know, in this country, Recharge is sold through 30 lakh outlets, 3 million outlets. And they are sold on the mobile by the retailers who don't know English at all. Value proposition, money.
No, that's a different issue. You see, that way Hindustan Lever has been selling its products through millions of outlets.
Correct.
That is not the issue. I'm just talking about, like we are sitting here, we are all English-centric, this thing. We rarely go out and meet, say, those who may be Gujarati or languages. Are we ignoring that market as far as, say, startup?
We are not ignoring.
No.
Everybody is transforming. Let me ask you a question. Is there a smartphone that has been created for Gujaratis and Hindi? No. The Gujaratis and Hindi are moving to a smartphone that is taking the language completely away. Right? We are reaching to a stage where language is overload. In 500 years from now, do you think we'll all have separate languages? Let's be honest about this. We will not, because communication is so important that we will come to a common standard to communicate, and that is the future. If it's English, maybe they were just early movers to spread the language.
There's an anecdote on this. I have Chinese suppliers, and we communicate using emoticons. They don't understand English. I don't understand Chinese. So if he gives a price, I give a depressed face, and then so this is how we do it. And we arrive. So it's about 10-15 emoticons, and then we are there. This is a fact. I told my daughter, she didn't believe it, but that's a fact. So you have to adapt to technology. I'm 50 years old. I sent him a map, and I don't mind saying this. I'm running this startup brand with Mahesh, but till last week I did not know how to get a location on the WhatsApp and send it to someone. My daughter taught it to me in US, and this was the first guy I sent it. He was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
But then now I send it to everyone. So I learned the art of sending a map.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
How did you go about building your team? I mean, they were very first employees.
Convincing all of them, please join me.
And how do you retain them?
Good question.
And especially the garage example. Startups don't have time
Very
for
good question. if you are honest, if you are transparent, if you are open about your failures, learnings, and communicate, if you are doing good to their lives, improving their lives, making them smarter, nobody ever leaves you. Attrition is a problem of bad organizations. We've been very, very fortunate about that. All the people who have left us also for whatever reason of location or whatever, they were also there for our celebration party and participated with us. That's a sign of a good heart. When you are doing something, I can assure you all of my team members can easily walk out and get 40%, 50% more salary today. If they want to do that, they stay because that's something that keeps them there. We are very irrational again about these things. We stay where we enjoy our work.
So the question there, sorry, we just want to ask someone who's not asked yet.
Yeah, you talked about like after the sample acquisition, you use the data to understand customers whom you already have and you can increase their, like, use analytics to increase the transaction value. And as against that, you have the entire pressure of creating new customer base. So what percentage of your team mental spend goes on increasing the value of your existing customer versus getting new customers?
50-50, I would say.
So do you have like a really sophisticated analytics team? Or like
I don't think anything can be more sophisticated. We are better than yesterday every day.
Yeah.
What things should I keep in mind before opening a startup and getting a good idea?
Just do it.
do you plan to be an investor yourself?
I already invest. I am not an investor which does spray and pray. If I believe in ideas, something I work with entrepreneurs and I spend time on that. I've been doing it even before this event.
How to leave a how to leave a well-paid job and to be an entrepreneur?
Tell yourself कि किसी के लिए क्यों काम करना and by the way, it is absolutely cool to do a job. It's a dark journey to be an entrepreneur. There is no joy. All this glory is all thing. The person inside you dies most of the times.
Many times.
Many times. So it's the dark side.
Where do you think Freecharge 5 years down the line, 2020?
I don't know, yeah. Anybody who gives you that BS for 5 years is knowing he is on probably smoking something.
Yeah. Someone
So we are working with groups, student groups for the last 2 years. They look for a few qualities in people whom we want to work with. So what were the qualities that you felt in people whom you wanted to work with?
Hunger, wanting to be better, not wanting to have a job. Anybody who looked for comfort, we were not very comfortable with that. Also, at least in decent parts, what we do is we do a group interview so that they pick that is guy fitting in our culture or not. And we tend to avoid anybody who's kind of an outlier in any manner. Nobody can say we are good at it. Everybody's figuring it out.
First, I'll go with someone who's not asked a single question yet. Yeah, okay.
Sir, I see on your list.
It's a Xiaomi, I got it yesterday.
Do you use it?
It's the first time. It's a fad. I don't know if I'll continue.
So my question is, do you think that the next wave is going to be wearable tech or fitness apps?
I personally believe that apps won't make us want to be fit.
Apps will want us to be fit.
Yeah? Apps don't motivate us to become fit. If we are motivated, we look for methods to do that. There is a category in gym. Anybody who has run a gym business ever over here? Okay, nobody. They have a category called as donors and visitors. Donors are the ones who feel very guilty on their birthday, New Year, Shadi, whatever, anniversary, anything, and say annual membership. And never go. The gym business works on donors. If everybody came, so loss हो जाएगा. fitness as a category is a function of whatever I am motivated to do. If I want to be fit, I will be fit. Then I don't need an app to support me. So all these artificial motivators tend to be living a short life. This is my third category. This was given to free for me, so I was like, try that.
But I disagree because the 7-minute app or all of the other apps that exist right now, it just makes working out so much more
If you are motivated to work out, and if you have it in you, people do that. You don't need a 7-minute really to be fit. I can tell you one thing, people who are not fit, ask them to give them any motivation.
It's about convenience, right? So that 7-minute app has replaced the gym
So I'm
membership.
saying the market. Is it a big ass market? Abhi to acha sa khana aaya hai. Abhi to fitness is the evolved behavior in the West. I'm telling you, it is going to take some time and it's going to be a disaster in this country. We're going to have such massive epidemics happening because we'll not learn that we don't need to, because our knowledge about food, what is protein, what is carbs is missing. We think ghee acha hai, butter bekar hai. We don't know what's the calorie count behind these things, right? The fundamentals are missing. The evolved behavior of an app is much later. We do not know what is a balanced diet. We learned in 2nd, 3rd, 4th standard and forgot about it. So fundamentally we are really behind on basics.
And every week you get Freecharge vouchers, McDonald's, what do you do with that?
There is a section for it, right? I mean,
Of course, is it a big enough? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So what is the, when you decided to pursue your passion, which was developing Freecharge, there would have been some opportunity cost of other businesses.
Are you a CA, MBA? Kya hai?
So what was the inspiration behind developing and pursuing this thing?
Even when I was an employee, I was like an entrepreneur. I did not follow the basic rules. I did more work than what I was expected to do. I just realized it's important that I do it for myself, otherwise I'll always regret that I did not do it. It's worth a try, life is short. Everybody who believes in rebirth is probably not knowing that there is no rebirth. So this was one line I thought it was a good idea to do that. Opportunity cost, I did not know this word till like last year.
Yeah. So basically, Freecharge also an instant gratification, right? You make a purchase or basically you recharge and you get a coupon. Have you ever thought about gamification or getting a point system in place?
First of all, gamification is not point system. Freecharge is already very gamified. Right? I'll give you a classic example. Again, bad example, opium. Okay? The opium dealer will first give free opium till you get hooked and then they'll charge you for it. Right? Is it gamification? Of course it is gamification. So please don't get carried away that oh points hai, level hai, leaderboard hai, koi gamification. Making sense?
Yeah. So money from an VC or an angel, or say from a SME exchange which has recently opened up and there are 100 companies on BSE who have, the startups who have, what do you consider them? What would be a better option? Like
Any money that is not dumb, that is the answer.
Yeah.
How and when did you get your first tech co-founder or the first core tech employee?
6 to 8 months later.
You had to like basically interview them and
Yeah. We had a junior person. I never had a tech co-founder. We just interviewed and got some good people.
so after you got funding, before you got funding?
Before we got funding, I couldn't get funding if I showed a good take me. So we had some time.
Time for one last question, please. Yeah.
Sir, recently we have seen that there are a lot of companies which are entering for the services. Right? Nobody talked about services.
Yeah.
Like
Laundry bola?
I was like,
okay, good. Sorry.
So what do you think on that point? Like there are many companies who are entering and there is nothing called disruption in that particular.
Yeah.
Like, so how do you see the future for that?
I think it's a Western epidemic that is spreading again in India. It's not logical in most cases, and therefore it will have a certain fate that it will meet. In certain cases it makes sense, in certain cases it does not make sense. I personally think a lot of the herd mentality that is kicking in right now and everybody's launching services, there is not real use case for it. Again, you should ask yourself the scores score this way or score of the new behavior, and be honest with yourself. If the score of the new service, itna jhanjat, ye kaun kab aayega, kya hoga, all of that, everything has to be taken into. If your score is lower, people will not move to the new behavior. If they move, it will be a very small segment. Most people in India, look at our ratio of female and male ratio working. In Mumbai city, a large majority of the women are not working. Western world, that ratio is dramatically different. Therefore, services outsourcing makes sense because nobody has the bloody time. If I have too much time, boss, मैं दिन भर कुछ नहीं करता हूँ. मैं क्यों online करूँगा? That's the only time I go and meet some people, shake hands with 5 people, do some chit chat. India is very different. You have to understand that some of these things will make sense, some of these will not make sense.
One quick question. You said 97% of the market is still doing offline, right? Yeah. You have any plan to go to retailers and tapping them or giving some offers to them to?
I don't think so. Consumers will evolve very quickly. I tell you, 100 million people are actively using WhatsApp.
Right.
Maybe 15-20 million are sending Snapchat pictures. How long will they go to shop to recharge? So we are betting on the consumers. Focus on consumers is more important. Just trying to change focus because the growth is dramatic. We grew 1200% last year. क्यों offline जाए? वही हमने sustain कर लिया था.
Ask the retailers to do online on your app actually.
Why? Why would they do that? Okay guys, I need to go. Thank you so much for listening in.
Actually, Kunal, it's like one of the most amazing startup grind in Mumbai when we had. So from the time we have announced till today.
What's the score out of 10?
It's 10
Okay. It will be hard to beat.
So since the time we have announced, Atul have been having sleepless nights, and he stayed awake to prepare this whole list of questions which you didn't answer.
No, he answered every question.
So no, but I think it's one of the best conversations we had, and I think everyone kind of really enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for being here.
Because the two of us are asked the least questions. How to ask the most questions. So I think that's unique about this event. Fantastic. But that's
Now, I think when you get the customer directly going, you don't need the intermediaries.
Absolutely. So very done. We completely different. So anyway, but we enjoyed being that. So great.
Thank you so much.